Hello, this is David McCutcheon. I'm here with Cael McCutcheon, and for this week of 5 minutes with Outside with JD, we're filling in with Mr. McCutcheon here. Mr. Painter could not be with us this evening, so we got a fill-in who's going to continue this segment. We talked about what to do before deer season starts last time, and now we're going to talk about after deer season. So I got JD's replacement, Cael McCutcheon here. So Cael, welcome to our show.
Hi, Mom.
There you go. Get important stuff first. Take care of keeping Mom happy. So, all right, you had a good deer season. I know because I was with you. Let's talk a little bit about your deer season and how it went for you, and go through some of the stuff that you worked out to make your deer hunt successful. So let's talk a little bit about gun season. We had the first day of gun season last week. You were out there before daylight and ready to go when it was bright and early. Let's talk a little bit about your first day. What'd you do to prepare for it? How'd you get yourself ready, and some of the stuff that you did to be successful on that first day? So let's talk a little bit about what do you want to cover first? How'd you dress?
Warm, because it was really cold, and we had orange on so other hunters would see us.
Okay, so covering two very important things right there: dressing warm because it was cold, and then also wearing orange, which you have to by law to stay legal, so other hunters can see us. So how did you dress? Do you remember what all you wore when you went out there?
A sweatshirt, a coat, gloves, a toboggan.
Okay. And how do you take care of your orange duties?
Put an orange vest on.
Yep, and I think you had an orange toboggan too, or maybe your sister's.
Yeah, they had a orange and a blue one.
Okay, good. So let's talk a little bit about how when you first got set up. Of course, it was dark when you got out there. What's the first thing you did as soon as you got some daylight to make sure that you were ready to hunt?
We checked the distances and saw
How'd you check them?
With a rangefinder. We rangefinded a tree stump and a tree.
Yep. What kind of distance, what gun were you hunting with?
A 22 Hornet.
Okay, so what was your range that you had to stay within?
150.
So anything 150 yards and closer, and so how did you determine what was within your range? You mentioned a tree stump. What else did you pick out? Do you remember? I know you kind of did a loop there on what you were picking out, right?
There was this dirt trail that went up the hill, so I rangefinded that.
Okay.
And a branch and a jump on the top of a hill.
Okay, so you picked out things that you could identify and said, this is as far as I can shoot responsibly. So, okay, so let's talk about that. We're talking about shooting responsibly. What are some of the things you looked for while you were picking out your distances and looking at what areas you could shoot in? What were some of those things that you looked for?
Like, there was a house behind the road, so I shot it when it crossed the road. And
let's talk about not where you actually shot, but what you looked for before you could shoot. Well, like what did you look for behind your shooting areas to make sure that it was safe?
If there were houses and animals.
Okay, anything else you had to watch out for?
Other hunters. Other
hunters, okay. So when you took your binoculars, you looked all around the circle and made sure that you had areas that you could not shoot in and areas you could shoot in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as you mentioned, there's a road, an old dirt road that ran through there, so you had to make sure that no cars were coming. What else did you have to watch out for? There's a little farm up the hollow there.
Yeah, and they have goats, so I can't shoot from a creek from the other side of the road.
Okay, so you had a little area that you weren't allowed to shoot in, no matter what, just to remain safe, right? Okay, good. Talk about when you did see a deer, what'd you have to do before you actually shot when you saw your deer? Like, for instance, tell us about your deer, the first deer you saw, kind of how'd that all come together?
We looked behind it to see if there were any other bigger deer, and
waiting on that big buck, weren't we?
Yep.
Did you see the big buck?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So now everybody knows you didn't get a big buck. You could have told a big story, but that's okay. We'll stick with the truth. All right, so your deer came down the hill. You waited to see if other deer were coming, then what else happened?
It went over the hill so I couldn't see it, and then it came back up on top of the hill, and I cocked it and shot it.
Okay. And do you know how far away it was?
50 yards.
That was about 80, but yes, between 50 and 80. So after you shot it, then what happened? Fill us in with the story.
I got a good heart shot on it, so it ran about 50 yards and jumped the creek and landed and died.
Okay, so that's a good point. You shot it in the heart. When we were looking at when you should take the shot, what scenario were you looking for before you were allowed to pull the trigger?
If it was on the road in between the other neighbors' goats,
Yep.
and if it was across the road.
Which way did you want the deer to be turned?
Broadside.
Yep. You had to wait on a good broadside shot. And then where do you aim at?
The heart.
Where's that
On
at?
the leg.
If I'm a deer, point to where it's at.
Right here.
Right there. Okay, good. So that's what you waited on before you're allowed to take a shot. All right, so you got a good clean kill. Then what happened?
Then we had to go gut it.
Who gutted it for you?
Grandpa.
Did you help?
Nope.
You had your knife ready though, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then after that, what happened?
The girls tried to cover their eyes.
Oh no. Okay, so then we gutted it, got it up towards the house.
We had to skin it.
Okay.
Peel the skin back.
Yep. And then.
We got all the meat. We had to
right.
get the back straps, the shoulder meat, and the thighs.
Hams. Yep. Okay. So overall, and then we went and you checked it in, of course, got to fill out the tag. So what'd you think, your overall first day of deer season? What's your thoughts?
Pretty good.
Had a good time, you got a deer. Got to help watch gut it anyway, learn a little bit about that. Skin it, cut the meat out. So got checked in, did everything legal. All right, so overall a good day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's next on your list?
Try to get a buck.
Try to get a buck. Okay, good deal. Well, this is Cael McCutcheon filling in for J.D. Painter with 5 minutes outside and talking about the first day of deer season, his experience of getting a deer here on the first day, and worked out good. So thank you. Good job. All right, we'll be back with more, and check in with us next week. Mr. Painter should be back, and we'll talk about his experiences of getting a deer. And his first day of hunting. So this is Dave McCutcheon. I'm here with Cael McCutcheon. Thanks for tuning in with us. Big thank you to A&M Digital Technologies for making this show possible. And we'll catch up with you next week.